Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back. Today we're going to continue working on the Lego Mountain. The other day I was contemplating getting rid of or modifying the Mountain View Observatory, and I came up with a pretty cool solution. So I wanted to completely change the Mountain View Observatory, and at first I thought I was going to change the color of it because it is a white structure sitting on top of a snow-capped mountain, so the white structure sort of blends in with the snow, and it will be hard to add snow details to the structure. So I started building it in tan. Didn't have the right pieces. Then black, didn't have the right pieces. Then dark tan, didn't have the right pieces. And I just didn't have the right pieces to completely change the color of it. So I was like, well, that sucks. What I'm gonna have to do now is, I guess, rip apart my Mountain View Observatory and just create a smaller version using the pieces from the observatory. So that's what I did. But it was actually very easy to do, and it left the set intact, which I think is important because now I can just put this off to the side somewhere and say, okay, I've got the bottom section of the Mountain View Observatory. I know it's sort of untouched. It's in its original state. And I plan on removing more details in just a moment here. But what I did was just took the dome off the top, just took all those pieces out and transferred it onto a little plate that I built here, which is 20 by 22 studs. So essentially this is just the top two sections of the Mountain View Observatory. We've got the entrance right there, and of course the telescope just behind these shutters, and we can remove the dome. You can see what I mean about the dome being white and how we can't add snow detail and how it sort of blends in with the mountain because the top of it is white, but I just don't have enough pieces to even create the base structure in a different color, never mind the dome with all of these weird slopes. So it has to stay white for now. This is the best solution that I can come up with right now based on the parts that we have in our inventory. But this is the base structure for it now. And there's the base plate for it, or the plate work for it. And essentially just transferred this over. Now the next thing I want to do is add some interior details in here, because this is literally how the original set is. There's like no details in this section of the set. How weird is that? All the details can be found on the other floors. For example, right here, we have the museum aspect of it, which I will not be transferring over because no one can even access this Mountain View Observatory. But there's also the workstation, and I'm hoping we can transfer some of these details into here because that just makes sense. And this is the only thing that's going to go on the top of the mountain, and therefore the structure is just going to match the scale of the mountain way better. Because this square surface up here is 32 by 36 studs. Whereas this is only 20 by 22, so when it's placed, it takes up way less room, and what I'll be able to do is modify all of this rectangular work here that accommodated the square cutout for the modular building, and replace a lot of it with the corner rock panels, so we can get a better shape for the top of the mountain, and we don't have this massive structure that's throwing the scale off at the very top. And believe me when I say this, I wish we had sufficient parts so that we could switch the color of this. Maybe it should be like dark tan or something. What we would have to do is put a parts list together, order those parts, and then rebuild it. And we could do that. But for now, I just want to move forward with the construction of this mountain. So the first thing we've got to do is destroy all that rectangular brickwork that leads up to the rectangular platform that used to host the Mountain View Observatory, because that is going to change. So I've got to take all that stuff down and start to round out the corners of the mountain, which is a good thing. At this particular point in time, I have no idea where that Mountain View Observatory is going to be placed. For example, is it going to be placed in the center, at the highest point? Is it going to be offset to one face of the mountain, and maybe the mountain will continue to be built up in behind it, so it's more so like worked into the mountain? I don't know yet. So what I do is I just continue to build up and up and up as high as I possibly can, using all the brick, rock panels, and supporting elements. You also notice that I did put the 32 by 32 black Technic plate back in. Although I didn't have to build a rectangle around it, it does provide a nice support for the upper portion of the mountain. And I'm starting to bridge my brick and rock panels onto that, and it seems like the math for the most part is working out. Might be off by like a sliver here or there, just because maybe somewhere along the line of this massive structure, the plates or bricks aren't completely pushed down. So there is a little bit of a separation happening, but it's nothing too major. It's pretty crazy when you're building mega structures like this and you're trying to get everything to line up just perfectly. But now I'm approaching the top there and I'm starting to measure and try and figure out where the Mountain View Observatory is going to go. I decided that it would be best just to build up as high as I can on all 4 sides, and then we'll center the Mountain View Observatory at the top of the mountain. I also decided that I would be increasing the size of the platform for the Mountain View Observatory to give it a little bit more breathing room. So rather than having it 20 by 22 studs, it's going to be 22 by 24 studs. So I quickly whip up a plate that is that size, and I use that as my template rather than bringing the big structure up there every time. And I put some colorful corner bricks on the corner of that plate so I sort of know where it's going to be positioned, and that acts as my guide. Once I have my markers in, I can start to build around the foundation of the Mountain View Observatory using light gray masonry brick. So rather than it just being plopped on top, I'm thinking maybe it's going to look like it's engineered to be on the top of the mountain. And I'm going to do that with reddish brown arches, so it looks like there's wood supports and also masonry brick around the foundation. I just want to make it look like it was actually engineered to be on the top of the mountain. So for example, maybe the citizens of the Lego City, the hard workers, came up there and actually removed big parts of the mountain so that they could place the observatory on top. And the surrounding structure and foundation will sort of represent that. Now, as you saw there, I had already transferred my Mountain View Observatory onto a new plate, but I wanted to increase the size of it by 2 studs in both directions. So I'm going to create a new plate, and I'm actually going to do a light gray base, and then I'm going to Mills plate it with dark tan. And I also use dark tan bricks around the perimeter of that Mills plate because that's a call out to the original set. It has those dark tan brick-built rock panels going around the base of it, and now I sort of have a representation of that within the set as well. So there I go with transferring the Mountain View Observatory yet again. I seem to have it down pat here. I can pretty much memorize how to build this thing now. And the last thing I'm going to do is actually transfer some of those interior details from the base of the original set. So I'm transferring things like the computer desk, the little lounger, some of the equipment from the utility room, and a bit more. And there you go, just like that, we have the new Mountain View Observatory 2.0. Okay, mountain number 1, we definitely need to bridge the gap between the 2 mountains with some more brick. That valley is pretty fierce. But mountain number 2 is a little bit taller now with these changes, which is good. And I think the shape of it is a lot better. The top is no longer like a rectangle. Worked really hard on getting these like bulges in the corners to pop out. Also in the center of this ridge right here. And there's like an inlet right there, along with like some more corner pieces working their way all the way up. Another bulge right there, and another right here in this corner. And then a large one that sort of starts way down here and makes its way all the way to the top and around this corner. And then they all come together to create the foundation for the Mountain View Observatory. So, not much of a walkway right now, but I did frame a little masonry brick pad there, and I topped it with some light gray plate, just 12 studs by 4 studs. And I put a little handrail in using some of the yellow bars and yellow connectors and some of those modified 1x1s. And I put a little step which will go up to the front entrance of the observatory. What the trail is going to look like, or if there's going to be a trail, I'm not sure. If there's going to be a helipad, I'm not sure either, but I think that would sort of take away from the look of the mountains. So I think we're going to have to use our imagination and just say, okay, this is really sketchy here. And they've got to like airdrop in or rappel in from a helicopter. I'm sort of standing by that idea. But you can see some of the wood supports coming off the side there. So they're wood built, reddish brown built, and they're actually the short arches, and they've got a Chi-slope on the end and tiles that attach them to the base structure or like the foundation. And the interesting thing is the Mountain View Observatory, when it sits here, will actually lock in to the Chi-slopes because we have 2 on this side, 1 over there, 1 over here, and 1 over here. So we have them on all 4 sides. So you'll notice that there's no studs that are going to hold the Mountain View Observatory in place amongst the tiles there. It's just going to be locked in place from the Chi-slopes. And of course, they'll be placed on top once this is actually placed in the city. Some basic structure in there. And this is where you can see the little offsets. So these are right on that 16 by 16 plate, Technic, like 32 by 32 plate that we created for support there. That used to host the Mountain View Observatory, but look at that. It's just a smidge lower, like a little bit. Believe me, I tried to solve that separation problem, but when you're working on something that's this tall, I guess little tiny gaps maybe can add up if they're like not pushed down all the way, you know. It is what it is. Okay, so that's the foundation and the top of the mountain for the modified observatory, which is right here. So I'm really happy that I decided to go with the dark tan. You can see there's some texture in there using some of the palisade bricks in light gray and also in dark tan masonry and some light gray ones in there as well. So we've got the two different colors. And that is like a Mills technique. So we've got the plates on the bottom and also plates on top, which is once again 24 by 22 studs. You can see the plate work for it there. 8 by 8, 16 by 16, 6 by 6s, and then it's all reinforced with the colorful brick. And what I like about the base plate change in color, the dark tan specifically, is it sort of acts as a carpet within the interior as well. And the interior is detailed now with some of those details, so that's good. Got the big computer desk right there, just transferred that over. I love that thing. It's really cool. It's actually mounted to the wall using modified bricks with the forward-facing studs. Then we have like the little generator over there, and it's definitely pretty cramped, but as much furniture as I could fit without taking away walking space. And I like how there's the little bed underneath. And then of course we've got our dome, which can be accessed from the stairs there, and that's where we have the actual telescope. So yeah, that's the modified Mountain View Observatory. So it's definitely a pretty big difference not having to accommodate that big old base plate. 32 by 36 studs. I think it was just huge, especially when you're trying to put it on the top of a mountain. And you can see the smaller one just locks in place just like that with the front entrance right there. So sketchy. As I mentioned during the time lapse there, I was contemplating having the observatory like offset and maybe having like the rocks building up behind it or something like that. So it'd be like built into the mountain, but logistically it just didn't really work out. So I decided to expand the foundation, giving it an additional stud on either side. And I put it right at the top and built the foundation. So I think that works. And I think once we detail around it with more snow detail and slopes and bricks and all that, and actually blend it into the mountain, I think it will make sense. And I wanted it to look like they engineered it this way and sort of almost took away a bit of the mountain to try and fit the Mountain View Observatory at the very top of the tallest peak in the city, just so they could have the best view of the stars. So there you go. It's going to be the massive mountain in the city, which I think is ready for the next phase. And of course, that is the detail phase, where we will start to work in details and slopes, and that will help blend in the square, studdish style that this mountain currently has. It is pretty fun seeing this mountain range on the floor up here. Like, it just looks crazy big. It's fun. I like it. It's amazing. We're gonna have to place it probably before I move on to the next phase of construction, just because I need to make sure this thing fits. We have not test fitted the big mountain yet. So it's been a while, and we should probably make sure that we built it to code so that it looks good in the city from all angles, and we don't have to make any major adjustments before we throw down thousands of additional pieces. Speaking of thousands of additional pieces, after I was done today's construction, I had to do a reset. I went through and sorted everything because we've been making a huge mess here over the last while. So I filed all the pieces away, and we also had some additional white elements and also light gray elements that were sorted by color and by part type, but they weren't broken down by size, and they were in these bins, which I put all back there as well, sorted and put the lids on, so that looks good. That's just more things that we need for the mountain construction. But I went ahead and refilled all of our white brick just because I know we're gonna need it when we move into adding more snow to that mountain. So I filled our drawer here, sorted a whole bin there, and then I filled this drawer as well. So that felt pretty good to get that done. Just sort of prepare ourselves for the next phase. Also, speaking of that, stay tuned because you're going to see a mega unboxing here right away. And the part order that I've been talking about is currently sitting in my garage. Mrs. Bricksie, who's not here today, received it and they put it in the garage. So I cannot wait to transport that here tomorrow and check out all the pieces. And then we can seriously get going on detailing the mountain in a big way. It's going to be crazy. Regarding the height of the structure, it still stands at 49 inches, so we actually gained an inch by making these modifications. We removed the base structure of the Mountain View Observatory, but gained it with additional rock or mountain. And there you go, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this update. I think it was a much needed change, and I can't wait to progress and move forward, because now we can finally consider the base construction of this mountain to be complete.